This episode of Quitters is brought to you by Primal Kitchen.
Guess where I was last week, Chad?
Where were you?
New York City. And I was staying with my cousin, whom I love very much. Shout out to Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what he had? I was just cooking in the morning, making some eggs.
What did he have?
Primal Kitchen avocado oil spray for the pan. Just there.
Oh, cool.
I didn't bring it. I didn't promote it to him.
On his own, independently.
I was so happy and so proud because that is a staple in our kitchen right now. It is an absolute staple. I use it for everything. It's the perfect pan prep. I just made that word up.
Delicious.
Prep.
Pan prep. That's a real
Pan
word.
Prep.
Well, we have all kind of Primal Kitchen stuff in our kitchen, including the avocado pan spray. We also have stuff like the vegan sweet potato fries, the pesto keto cauliflower pizza. We just have like delicious Primal Kitchen-ness all over the place.
You know, I was a child of the 80s. Back then, it was all no fat, no fat, no fat. And because you need good fats, you need plant-based oils and no refined sugar, and you also need delicious flavor so that you'll actually eat the food. Plant-based oils, you need them. They're part of your diet. They're an important thing for your brain and your body. And when I eat Primal Kitchen, I fill up, I feel good, I don't crash. I like it.
I feel the same way. I feel like I'm eating real food, and then afterward, I feel like I have energy. I feel like I can just like, it's not all like squishy and lumped up in my body somewhere. I don't feel gassy. I just feel like I feel like I can lay down and I don't have to like sit up till my food digests. It's great.
I'm a pretty clean eater.
You are.
Primal Kitchen slotted in really nicely with my current diet. They just made it easier and it gave me more options. I really like it. I like their salad dressings. I use them for everything, by the way. I use them to marinate, pour it on salads, put it on vegetables, anything you want. But Quitters listeners can save 20% at primalkitchen.com/quitters, or like my cousin did, find Primal Kitchen products at your favorite local grocery store or retailer.
Do it. It's so yummy.
You know, when I was in Hawaii, I was shooting, like I would just kind of like, I had my car and I had my life and I would just kind of like go where I wanted, when I wanted. And like my parents were never kind of like blockading me in the way that I feel like a lot of kids with a more traditional upbringing have. And so like when I first got here and everyone was like, we can stay out till 4 a.m. Like we have to do that every day. And I was like, yes, we can, but like you can, but why, right? And so when everyone had this mentality of like doing it just because you can, I was like, why would you do something just because you can do it? Like, do you even want to?
I'm Julie Bowen.
And I'm Chad Sanders. What a perfect angel pumpkin darling person.
I mean, if I was a kid and I wanted to be a kid actor, I would like pull every Peyton Lee interview and like line them up and show my parents and be like, see, you can be perfectly normal and smart and hold your own and get an education and still work all the time.
She just seems like, I don't know. She just seems perfect.
She really is a pretty exceptional kid. She's thoughtful and she is smart as hell, but she's not canned.
No, she's not. She knows what people are looking for from her, and she knows how to like give them some of that. To me, she doesn't sacrifice authenticity when she does it, and she doesn't sacrifice like her point of view when she does it, which is really, really endearing and just feels like a really tough needle to thread for an 18-year-old. But like, it seems like she's doing it kind of effortlessly.
I guess it's just going to go without saying that if the younger you are, the fewer experiences to quit you've had, right? Yeah, we looked for it. We looked
for it. We didn't want to, and we didn't force it. Like we shouldn't force it. It's not, if it's not there, it's not there. Somebody else might listen and hear it in there.
She's 18. The world is her oyster, and as it should be, because she's wildly talented and really delightful to talk to. And here she is on Quitters, Peyton Lee. Oh, look at her. Hi. Obviously, we know each other.
Hi, Peyton. I'm Chad.
I met Peyton technically in like some sort of not boss, but like hierarchical position because I was exec producing a movie and she got hired to do it, but really behind the scenes, she's the thing that got it made.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
When you say Peyton, the first little question I had on my imaginary board was, can we describe the relationship between executive producer and star so that people can understand that?
I think that's a very case-to-case question. I think like the range of relationships I've had with executive producers have been so varied. Sometimes it is a very kind of like boss worker dynamic where it's like you're very like cordial and nice, but it's a very like business relationship. One of my close friends, Melvin, is an executive producer on Prom Pact and on my other show, Doogie Kamealoha MD. He's like a father figure on set. And then with Julie, like, again, it's just like a totally different dynamic. It's fun and it's like very like friendly. And like I feel like Julie does a great job of making sure everyone feels like it's like a collaborative communal environment. And it's not like so much based on the hierarchy of like technical power. But, again, I think it's very different.
Peyton flat out got this movie made because when we partnered with Melvin, the movie's called Prom Pact, it's coming out on Disney+. Melvin, who obviously loves her and does lots of stuff with her, had read it and said, I want her to do this. This is a great role. And that's what got, like, Disney wanted to do it. But that was like, oh, we're going. Because she's a huge star. Most of my work as exec producer was the 2 years prior to that. The like beating out the story, working with Anthony, our writer, and then selling, talking to Disney and blah, 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 blah. Once it gets in Peyton's hands, and by the way, she is a producer on the movie as well, it goes the way it should, which is like let these actors and directors do their thing on set. And that's what they did. And they were freaking brilliant.
So you two really know each other, which is to say sometimes the executive producer and the star don't know each other at all.
No, that's true. Yeah, sure.
But you two really do. You texted her
except there's
and
a
told her to blink
lot
twice.
of things I don't know about Peyton, and I'm excited to talk to her today. And
Zoom has like affected that. Like COVID and everything has affected that a lot. Like I feel like we would have been seeing each other a lot more if COVID wasn't an issue. Yeah.
I'm excited, and thank you for coming on to Quitters today.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm really excited to hear Chad ask you questions most of all, because he is going to come from a way that it wouldn't even occur to me because I do know you. And I know that producer Rachel told you, you don't have to come in with a preset quit. But if there's anything that you ever have quit or want to talk about quitting, we'd love to talk about it with you.
I mean, honestly, like that was the one thing that stressed me out about like coming on this podcast is I was like really trying to think of things that I've like actively quit. Like I feel like there are definitely things in my life that have like slowly like fizzled out or like I've kind of forgotten about. But I feel like in terms of like actively deciding like this is no longer for me, like I don't know that I have any real that I can think of.
You can, a slow quit counts. I feel like you slow quit high school in a way.
I wish I quit high school. I did not. I finished the whole thing.
But on set.
Yeah, but
I mean in IRL, like going into a classroom and sitting there.
Kind of, but I did that first semester of my senior year. So pretty much up until the very end, I was like, I'm not giving up on this, which was like partially my own thing. And then also a lot of that was my parents, like me being in school and having like some version of a traditional high school experience was important to them. So really the only reason why I wasn't there the last semester of my senior year was because of Prom Pact.
It's all our fault?
It's all your fault.
Yeah, you left to do a movie about like the end of high school.
Yeah.
You left high school to go do a movie about the end of high school. Did you go to your real prom?
I did not. No, it's funny. It was very strange because prom was happening and I was seeing on everyone's like Snapchat stories and Instagram stories like promposals from Vancouver while we were shooting Prom Pact. So it was like a very weird experience. But no, I was not at my high school prom. However, I did go to Disney prom a few times, which is actually a story Milo and I like to tell because we initially met at like a Disney prom event. So I've gone to those and I've gone to prom actually a couple times fictionally in Prom Pact, and then we have a dance in Doogie that's kind of like a prom adjacent thing. But anyway, no, I've never been to a regular high school prom.
Julie knows you, and I do have questions. They probably are going to feel like they're coming from left field. I want to ask you a few things about like the future and like what matters. So you're starring in a movie. You're in the biggest of screens in every way already as an actor. And people say like, kids, they or young people, like they don't care about movies. They don't care about TV. They only care about TikToks and they only care about like Snapchat and stuff. But that doesn't seem true. Is that true?
I mean, it's not true for me. I think that's kind of a complicated question because I think there definitely is some scary truth to the fact that everyone is very like obsessed with like their screens being as small as possible and having their content coming as quickly as possible is not conducive to making movies. But I also think that it's not entirely true that, like the new generation like has no interest in any of those things. I'm in film classes at school. Like I see these people every day that do very much care about, cinema and seeing films and storytelling. And so I don't think it's going to die with the new generation. I mean, hopefully, but I definitely think it is changing. I think the way we want our content and the way we process it is changing. And so I mean, I wish I could say what the future looks like, but I guess we'll just all have to see. But I definitely know for me, like, there's nothing I love more than going to see a movie in a theater. I love the experience. I think films are something that are supposed to be experienced communally and not like in your room under the covers on an iPad, which maybe makes me sound like an old person now too. But I mean, I don't know that I'm the right speaker for our generation. I definitely think there is a large population of people that do still care about the way that movies are supposed to be, or supposed to be is obviously subjective, but like a more traditional way of experiencing art.
I was thinking about how you had said you didn't have a lot of quits. And I thought, well, you turned 18 only recently in the past year. So how much agency, obviously you have loving parents and a supportive family and nobody was, you were not forced into working, but how much agency do you really have when you're under 18? You have to be careful about what you post. When it comes to social media and TikTok and all those things, you have to be mindful of that. Has any of that changed for you being 18, legal 18?
Honestly, for me, the biggest thing with regard to work that changed when I turned 18 is I started going to work by myself instead of having my dad or my mom on set with me, which was great. I absolutely love it. And it's nothing against them, but like it's very nice to like go and have my day and then come home and like have something to talk to them about, like there was a significant period of time where it was like I would drive to work with my dad would be there all day with me, and then we would drive home together, and then by the time we got home, what are we going to talk about? What I listened to on the way there, everyone I talked to while I was at work, what scenes we shot, what I did on, I napped on the way home, and like, so what do we have to talk about, and so I think that has really changed in that, shooting season 2 of Doogie, after I'd turned 18, like I was going to work by myself. And I think that actually helped my relationship with my parents a lot, in that there was a little bit more separation. And so when we were together, I appreciated that time more, in addition to the fact that we just had more to talk about. But in terms of like agency overall, like with work stuff, like truly becoming an actor was something that I always wanted. My dad was very much against it. He's an actor himself, but that was never really why I wanted to be an actor. I would say, again, if anything, it was a reason why I was kind of held back from it, is because he knew that like once you start working, like everything kind of goes to the back burner. School, friends, life, it all just becomes like it all plays second fiddle in your life. And in addition to the fact that it's a lot of rejection and it's a lot of like toxic, bad things, there's so much crap in the world. And I think he wanted to kind of not expose me to that as quickly as I wanted to be exposed to all of that. So like on the acting front, like my parents were never pushing it at all. If anything, they were pushing against it. And it was all kind of what I wanted at the rate I wanted it. And so I've been very lucky in that sense that I have sort of had that agency throughout my career. So it wasn't like I turned 18 and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, like I have to make my own choices. What am I going to do?
And now a word from our sponsors.
Julie, it recently came to my attention that President's Day is this month.
Yes, I know this, Chad. It is right there on the school calendar, and my whole life is a school calendar.
Have you ever noticed how presidents start to look old very quickly?
Yeah, it's a very stressful job. I mean, first up, my personal fantasy boyfriend, Barack Obama, when he started his presidency, he looked like a young, foxy dude. And by the end, he had quite a few grays, still a total fox, but I bet he wasn't getting a good night's sleep.
You know what those presidents need? Presidents like Barack Obama who aged quickly in presidency?
A Sattva mattress?
A Sattva mattress. Exactly. That's what I think.
Maybe former President Barack Obama should have gotten himself a Sattva luxury mattress like the ones we both have. I love getting into my luxurious 3-inch pillow top. I fall asleep right away, wake up refreshed.
That's the best feeling in the world, that right away refreshed feeling. If you're listening, Mr. Barack Obama, you're in luck. Because during the month of February, in honor of President's Day, you'll save $200 when you purchase $1,000 or more at saatva.com/quitters. That's SAATVA.com/quitters.
You know what I don't understand?
What?
I don't understand when jogger became a thing, but I also decided I don't care. Because I tried my new Vuori joggers. They are amazing. Have you tried yours?
I'm currently wearing my joggers. Yes. And you are an actual jogger, so I feel like these are perfect for you. You jog.
I would never jog in my joggers. That's the crazy thing. I jog in my Vuori leggings. Oh. Yes, I do. But I think that I feel like if I wear leggings, they're for exercise, but my joggers are like go anywhere pants. Like
I see.
My friend calls them my putter pants because I putter around in them. I putter, but they look nice. They feel good.
Oh, they look so good.
They're just everyday pants that you don't feel like you're a schlub in.
That's right. They're designed to look great in everyday life outside the gym. That means you can wear them to a coffee shop, walking to the park, going on a date, going to a bar, going to a friend's house, going to a book club. They look great. And they're so comfortable. Oh my God, they're so comfortable.
I just love that you said going to a book club. I'm going to throw my Vuoris on and go to a book club. Do you belong to a book club?
No, I don't. I think when I looked at you, I saw a book club and I just said it. Well, back to Vuori then. Fine. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. For our listeners, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. Get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at Vuori.com/quitters. That's VUORI.com/quitters. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to Vuori.com/quitters and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. The first, 7 seconds that you're speaking, I think someone can feel that you have a lived-in spirit even as a young person. I'm curious. So you're born in New York City, is that right?
Yes.
Then you moved to Manhattan Beach. You're in Hollywood. You are so much in Hollywood. Are you able to connect to the normal world outside of New York and Los Angeles? Do you feel like a real connection to how the rest of people are living, or is it mostly like a connection through seeing it on your devices?
I definitely have had a very specific experience. I was, like you said, I was born in New York. I grew up in LA. Now I'm back in New York. And obviously those are very specific experiences that don't necessarily reflect the world at large. And so I would say in that sense, it is hard for me sometimes to, be able to connect to or relate to any other people's experience that haven't grown up in, big affluent cities or whatever it is. But I do think that because of, the news and TikTok or Instagram or whatever, we definitely are getting to see, everyone is getting to see more life than they ever have before and more different experiences than they ever had before. And also getting to not only see that, but see it in a very intimate, personal way. So I feel like that's one of the great things about social media that has definitely allowed me to expand my understanding of people. And also, like, coming to college has been big for me in that sense too, because it is people from all over, all over the US, all over the world. And like my roommate, she's from Nigeria, but she went to boarding school in London. Like, I definitely was very intentional about wanting to surround myself with people that had had different experiences than me. I didn't just want to find the people from, LA that were now at Columbia and, just like make those my friends. So I feel like the answer is kind of a non-answer. It's like a yes and a no. I think my experience has definitely specified the range of experience I understand, but that is something that I'm actively working against.
I'd have to say, by the way, Peyton, I think that's true for a lot of us. And not just actors. I mean, Chad, do you really feel like you know how the rest of the, like what's life like in South Dakota?
Yeah, I mean, we're all pretty isolated to our own experience. Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, it's a good question. You are in a dorm room currently.
I am in a dorm room. I'm not even in my dorm room because my dorm room comes with a roommate. And so I had to borrow my friend's dorm room that she is a single. So yes, I am.
Like, what's it like being in college and also being a star at the same time? I know it's a little cringy to think to feel that a little bit, but I am curious because like so many people in college like want to be a star.
Yeah. I definitely don't see myself as a star or as like anything special by any means at all. And so like I don't go through my life living like that. I will say sort of like the double life of like work and school and like sort of having one foot in each door is like kind of all I know. I started working on my first kind of like bigger thing when I was like 12 going on 13. And so sort of being around kids and adults and people that are super successful and people that have no idea what they want to do and sort of living in that in-between period of kind of understanding and relating to both is kind of just my life. And so I wouldn't say that it's something that like I actively am thinking about because it's just been like that forever. It's definitely weird. There are moments where I forget about it and then I'm like, why was that girl looking at me so weirdly? And then like and then I truly have these conversations with my friends at school being like, people are like, why do people hate me here? And they're like, Peyton, they don't hate you. They just can't tell where they recognize you from. And so they're looking at you for longer than they're looking at anyone else. I don't register that as much, especially coming from like being on set where like everyone kind of knows who you are. They know why you are who you are. They know why you look familiar, whatever. And so like it's not like a thing that's affecting everyday interactions. But then like at school, there's a lot of like, were we in class together? Like, are you from my hometown? Like there's like that weird, like, I know you, but I don't know you that has like all the time. I'm like, why are they looking at me like that? And then I'm like, oh, they're not. It's just the way my life has been. So I don't really have anything else to compare it to.
Does this mean you're not working right now? You've committed to being at Columbia. Does that mean you're committed to not working from, what is it, September to May?
I committed to 1 year. So I talked.
How's it going?
I talked to my team and was like, I don't want to take anything that shoots this school year. So between September and May, 2022 going into 2023. And honestly,
how's it feel?
Horrible. I miss working so much, constantly. Like
that's a quit right there. You've been doing more working than anything else as a kid. And now you've actually put it on hold for an entire school year. So why is it horrible?
I mean, I just miss working. I love being on set more than anything. I love, having those like creative conversations. I love all of it so much. And it's such a part of my life. And coming here, it's just like, I'm just so kind of like isolated from that. I mean, honestly, that's dramatic. I went to D23. I went and did I went to the Kids and Families Emmys. I've been doing things, and I'm also doing an animated movie. I'm being dramatic when I say I completely cut it out of my life, but I haven't been like on a set in longer than I've ever not been on a set for a while. And it's just like, it's just hard. It's hard to see my friends on set. It's hard to see like the jobs that are going by and I'm just like watching people get them. Yeah, I think to me, it really came down to like college and like your freshman year of college as an 18-year-old person is not something that you can recreate later on down the line. Whereas I feel
That's
like
true.
being on set, like obviously it's different, but like the difference between right now and in 6 months and in a year and in 2 years and in 5 years is like, I think a lot smaller than the difference between starting college now and starting it in 5 years.
And it sounds like you have such a different set of responsibilities to go along with like the freedom that you're probably accessing now and that your classmates are accessing now. Even just you just saying, like, I talked to my team about it. You're probably like one of the 5 people in your class that has a team of any kind that is responsible to their desires. What has allowed you to just like connect with the student experience at school?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is something that I have been working on. It's definitely a work in progress. I mean, when I got here, I feel like I've been living my life with a lot of freedom for a long time. When I was in Hawaii, I was shooting, like I would just kind of like, I had my car and I had my life and I would just kind of like go where I wanted, when I wanted. And like my parents were never kind of like blockading me in the way that I feel like a lot of kids with a more traditional upbringing have. And so like when I first got here and everyone was like, we can stay out till 4 a.m. Like we have to do that every day. And I was like, yes, you can, but like you can, but why? Right. And so when everyone had this mentality of like doing it just because you can, I was like, why would you do something just because you can do it? Like, do you even want to, So like, there are like these very like fundamental like things I have that are very different from what a lot of people in this situation have. However, I think, a lot of growing up is very universal, no matter where you come from, what you've been doing, we're all sitting in class together. We're all reading like the Iliad by Homer together. There are these very like practical shared experiences that I think have been connecting me to the people that are here. In addition to like growing up, like no matter how much like I work with adults or sometimes feel like an adult, like I'm still an 18-year-old human being who doesn't know, who I am or what I'm doing by any means. And so I think no matter your experience, that's something we're kind of all dealing with. So I think that has also tethered me to the community here.
I was thinking about you talking about being under 18 and having a lot of agency, but also even when you're over 18 and you're old, sometimes you get stuck, you get into a job and you can't get out because that's just the way it is, because you have a contract and you don't just get to walk away. And without naming names, and I do not ever, I'm not trying to play gotcha or get you in trouble at all. Was there ever a job or a project where you thought to yourself, like you now want to take that Peyton of 7 years old or 15 years old or whatever and say, run away from this. It's not good for you. Like that there was like a fantasy of a quit that would have been good for you, even if it wasn't feasible. Because let's face it, if you're in the middle of doing a movie or anything, you gotta see it through.
I feel like this is a really kind of like get off your high horse kind of an answer, but it's truly how I feel. I definitely have had those experiences where I've been working on something and it's been like, oh my God, like I would do anything to not be here right now. But I do feel like even if I could have quit, even if I could have walked away, I feel like I learned a lot from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I did that was kind of any, whatever, was Andy Mack. And and the people on that show were my best friends. They were my family, like the crew, the cast. I would like stay at people's houses when my parents were out of town. Like we would all go roller skating on Friday nights. Like everyone, the cast, the crew would bring their like girlfriends and wives and husbands and kids. Like we were all like a family. And, I heard all the time, like, this is not what it's like. It's not always like this. And I was like, yeah, I know, whatever. But then when that show ended and I started working on other things, you realize like, oh, that's really not what it's always like, you know? And I think after Andy Mack, I definitely put like the pressure on myself to try to recreate that, you know? And I think there are a lot of problems that arise when you meet people and you're like, okay, you guys are my best friends now. Like, let me tell you everything. Tell me everything. Like, we're best, like, this is us, we're family. And I feel like forcing that often like creates problems. But anyway, so yes, I definitely have been in situations that I wish at the time I could get out of. But again, I think I learned a lot from those experiences, you know, and having to stay and stick it out. And like, I would say that's my kind of annoying, cheesy answer.
It's not annoying and cheesy. It's good. I mean,
These are
it's
great.
admitting that it is sometimes there are jobs like not every job is a blast. Not every job is like, this is my forever family. Sometimes you are punching the clock and you're lucky for the moments that work and you got to move on.
Yeah, 100%.
What I observe in Julie is like she has a lot of friends who are like under 35, like an unusual amount of them because of the work that she's done. And you seem to have a
true.
lot of friends who are like over 30, it sounds like. Like you're talking about people with husbands and wives and adults you've worked with. And I do think that's sort of specific to the work you guys do. Do you feel like you have a unique point of view on like that stage of adulthood because you're able to see so many people in that stage so intimately because of the work that you do? Like, do you think you get like grown-ups at that age in a way that most people don't? I know I did not have any understanding of people in their 30s when I was 18.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say definitely. I think more than understanding them, I think, and Julie, I don't know if you've had a similar experience, but I feel like, especially in sort of like this specific industry, age kind of doesn't matter in a way. Like there's a lot of kids acting like adults and adults acting like kids. It doesn't matter if you're like 15 or 50, like you're kind of like in it, you know, and like people are friends with people that are older and younger. And like, I just feel like it's less of like a blockade than it is, I feel like, outside of, I guess, like Hollywood, if you will. And so I would say, like, I don't know if I have like a specific understanding of a different demographic of people, but I do feel like I just see people more as like people rather than as like kids versus adults and like, you know, like young adults versus like older adults, you know, and like I think I just like I see people more as people, you know, and so like when I meet someone that's 25, it doesn't mean that we can't be friends, but like if my friend met someone that was like my school friend that met someone that was 25, they'd be like, why is this old person talking to me, you know? So like
exactly.
So it's like
no, but
it's weird.
True. And does that carry over to your professors and teachers?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a strange dynamic, and I remember very specifically I felt this way when I went back to high school for my first semester of senior year. Is like the way I was talking to my teachers, it wasn't like disrespectful in any way, but it was definitely very like conversational as like equals. And I think like that definitely like threw a lot of people off. I'm asking you if I can go to the bathroom, like, huh? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, like just sort of like the organization that our culture creates around age, I feel like is broken a lot in Hollywood. And so kind of then like going back into that is definitely a weird thing. And sometimes I forget about it, but like even when I got my interview for Columbia, I was like stressed out. I was like, what am I going to say is my favorite book? Like, do I tell the truth? Do I come up with something smart to say? Like, whatever. And I was talking to my friend about it. And she was like, Peyton, don't worry. Like, you're great at talking to adults. And I was like what? Like, just like the way you're thinking about it as like talking to adults is like not how I like think about any of these things. So I do feel like it definitely is a different experience.
So you've already interrogated this a little bit because your answer is really like sequenced. Have you already like given this some thought? You must have.
Oh, definitely. You know, I think it's something I think about all the time. Like, it's even hard, like with my parents, like explaining to them that I'm going to hang out with like 25-year-old people, 30-year-old people, because they're like, what is my 17-year-old daughter doing with this group of like older people? And like, that's completely fair. Like, if I had a daughter, I would be saying the same thing. I'd probably be like, no, you're not. Like, what? But because of like the world we live in, it's normal. You all go to work together, you eat lunch together, you relate on a level that sort of transcends age. in a way that I think a lot of people don't understand. And like, it makes sense. Like, why would you understand that? And sometimes even when I'm like telling stories about friends that I'm like, oh yeah, and his daughter, and they're like, what? So like, it's definitely something that comes up a lot. But yeah, I think it's just another way of sort of navigating life and grouping people together.
I actually think it's one of the most positive things about being a kid actor. And I'm thinking about all the kids I worked with on Modern Family for so long, and how confident and easy they are with adults. I mean, they're kids, but when I say to my kids now, you have to advocate for yourself. You got to go talk to the teacher. They're like, what? Like, I don't want to talk. Like the teacher, like, do I have to? Can I just text her? I'm like, you can't text her. You have to actually go to the office hours and stuff. And I was thinking about how, I think it was like our first year or second year of Modern Family, we had a party. It was a wrap party at the end of the year. And it was at the hotel next to the lot, next to the Fox lot. And it was like sectioned off, like we rented out the bar restaurant area or something. And we're walking in, they stopped the kids. Like, oh, you can't come in if you're under 21. We're like, but they're not under, that doesn't, they're actors. They're like, we don't have an age thing like that. And they're like, well, we do. And it was really weird. We never made that mistake again. I can hear Rachel right now, like nodding away because she probably remembers it too. But there is that sense that I really do love and appreciate younger and older people on a set in a way where you don't in the rest of the world necessarily, because everybody's just like, we're just doing a job. So you're 60 and you're holding a boom pole and you're talking to, a 10-year-old who's the star of the show, and they're having a completely cogent conversation. That's just the way it is. It feels very normalized. And that's that's the best version of it. I'm sure there's versions of it that Peyton, I'm sure you've seen that I haven't, because I didn't start until I was already a legal adult.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think just as much as there are great things about existing in a world where age isn't something that limits you, I also think, it's not like you should be talking to a 10-year-old the same way you talk to a 30-year-old. And I think like there are examples where, at the time I saw it as like, they want to be my friend. Like, this is great. And then like when you're older thinking back, it's kind of like, why did they want to be my friend? Like, they should not want to be my friend, So I think like for sure there are these areas, these gray areas where it's like, yes, we are all working together. And yes, I know I can like have an adult conversation, but you still shouldn't be saying the things you're saying to me. So again, I think there's good and bad to it. And you just kind of have to like work on figuring out where you kind of stand in that, and what you think is appropriate and what you think is not, and knowing the difference and being able to address things.
You have a tone of like confidence and humility and like understanding and self-interrogation, all these things, but you're not like, you don't have like an obnoxious, unearned, authoritative tone the way that most people between our ages basically have.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that even lends to making you feel more mature in some ways. Like, I'm curious about that. Have you like worked on that, or is that just like who you are?
Can I take this? I'm gonna
yes.
take it from an outsider's point of view.
Please.
I think that she has good parents. And by good parents, I mean supportive, but they don't think that she farts rainbows. If your parents are like, everything you say is a gem, you are amazing, every single thing that you do is perfect, you create these horrible little narcissistic, this is the way it is, people who think they know everything. Whereas that having that check and balance at home, I've talked to your mom a bunch, like, I know that they love you, they respect you, they want you to have a full experience in life. But I also get the sense that they're not going to just let you, like, everything you do is perfect, right?
Yeah, no, I would say that is 100% true. I think that is the foundation of who I am, is my parents, and I think they have, like Julie said, done a great job of like, yeah, it's cool you do all these things, but it doesn't make you better than anyone else. It doesn't make you like at all. You know what I mean? Like the reaction I get when I get a job like to star in a movie, and the reaction my little brother gets when he passes his French or his Spanish test is like the same. Like, it's like, great, good for you. Like, you work hard, you get, you know what I mean? But there's no like, oh my God, you're so great in any way. You know, I go home and like, it's like, do the laundry. You know what I mean? Like, I've always had a foundation that definitely grounded me very firmly in reality. My parents, my siblings, my friends at home, because it can be easy to get caught up in all of that. You know, you walk on set and there are people that are immediately like, what can I get you? Do you want food? Do you want like, are you thirsty? Are you hot? Are you tired? Are you cold? Like, can I tie your shoe for you? You know what I mean? Like, and it's easy if like, that's kind of your whole life, that like, you're like, yeah, you should be making me breakfast. You should be tying my shoes. Like, I'm great. You know, it's like, you can't even necessarily blame these people for having these ideas of the world, because when you're treated like that all the time, that's what it is. And so I definitely think, hopefully, if I come off as having more humility than that it definitely is a result of my family.
I have to ask, is that the answer you were going to give before the resident parent in this conversation gave all the credit to your parents? Was that the answer you were going to give?
Well, honestly, I couldn't be sure because I didn't have time to answer before. Just kidding.
Do you think that's the answer, Peyton?
I definitely think that is the truth. Yeah, 100%. I would say my character is not really something that like, at least who I am just naturally, it's not like things that I've like specifically worked towards, you know? Like I am sort of the product of my experience and, you know, my family and my friends in my life. But like, I've never been like, okay, you need to be more like this, or like, you need to sound like this when you talk. And I think also that is something that contributes to that quality, that sort of like fake superiority complex thing that I think a lot of people have, especially that are actors, because you do go into media training, you know, and they do teach you a very specific way to talk, and they tell you the things to say and the things not to say and how to speak with authority, like, you know, like you have any idea what you're talking about. And it's not even these people's faults, because you get put in these positions where all of a sudden you are the spokesperson for a certain group of people, for a certain experience, for a certain age or whatever. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I speak for these people and I know, you know, and like, it's just kind of constantly ingrained in you. And so again, if you don't have a support system outside of all of that, that's telling you, no, you don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the truth, then that's what can happen. And so I definitely do think, although Julie swooped in with it, it is very much the truth that, that my family is the basis of all of that.
And now a word from our sponsors. Hi, Chad.
Hey, Julie.
Did you get your Green Chef?
Yes, I did, and I ate it.
Oh, man. Wait, which one too did you get?
This is cheesy artichoke chicken sandwich.
That sounds good.
Is sesame ginger pork bowl, and they were both fantastic.
They were both really good. Mine were really good too. Mine was like a Parmesan chicken, and then I did a veggie one. There was a veggie pasta with like creamy chickpea sauce. And my kids were super into it because they always say I can't cook, which I can't. I'm very bad at it. But Green Chef made me feel good about it. I felt good about them because they have zero waste. They are carbon neutral.
I felt good about options.
Yeah.
They now have 30 plus recipes weekly. That means that you can eat different stuff every time you eat Green Chef.
There's food for everybody on there, whether you are a vegetarian, a vegan, keto, paleo, or just really dig food and want to eat it.
Yeah, they got chicken, beef, salmon, USDA certified organic ground beef, USDA certified organic chicken, wild-caught sockeye salmon, and now you can also add chicken or fish to select vegan and veggie recipes each week for an added protein boost.
And with Green Chef, I always feel bad about ordering things because when the box comes, it's like more waste for the earth. But you are actually reducing your food waste by up to 38% when you're shopping with Green Chef, because they've done all the back end and everything's recyclable, and they are very committed to being sustainable.
And again, most importantly, here's my personal endorsement. It tastes good. Like, above all the other stuff, the thing that's important to me is that when I eat the food, I'm happy to be eating it.
It's really delicious food. And I got to say, go to greenchef.com/quitters60 and use code quitters60 to get 60% off plus free shipping.
The #1 meal kit for eating well.
And saving the planet and eating well and saving the planet.
Go to greenchef.com/quitters60 and use code quitters60 to get 60% off plus free shipping.
Good Green Chef. I just made it up. Go to greenchef.com/quitters60 and use code quitters60 to get 60% off plus free shipping.
This episode of Quitters is brought to you by Primal Kitchen.
Guess where I was last week, Chad?
Where were you?
New York City. And I was staying with my cousin, whom I love very much. Shout out to Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what he had? I was just cooking in the morning, making some eggs.
What did he have?
Primal Kitchen avocado oil spray for the pan. Just there.
Oh, cool.
I didn't bring it. I didn't promote it to him.
On his own, independently.
I was so happy and so proud because that is a staple in our kitchen right now. It is an absolute staple. I use it for everything. It's the perfect pan prep. I just made that word up. Prep.
Pan prep. That's a real word.
Is it?
We have all kind of Primal Kitchen stuff in our kitchen, including the avocado pan spray. We also have stuff like the vegan sweet potato fries, the pesto keto cauliflower pizza. We just have like delicious Primal Kitchen-ness all over the place.
You know, I was a child of the 80s. Back then, it was all no fat, no fat, no fat. And because you need good fats, you need plant-based oils and no refined sugar, and you also need delicious flavor so that you'll actually eat the food. Plant-based oils, you need them. They're part of your diet. They're an important thing for your brain and your body. And when I eat Primal Kitchen, I fill up, I feel good, I don't crash. I like it.
I feel the same way. I feel like I'm eating real food, and then afterward, I feel like I have energy. I feel like I can just like, it's not all like squishy and lumped up in my body somewhere. I don't feel gassy. I just feel like I feel like I can lay down and I don't have to like sit up till my food digests. It's great.
I'm a pretty clean eater.
You are.
Primal Kitchen slotted in really nicely with my current diet. They just made it easier and it gave me more options. I really like it. I like their salad dressings. I use them for everything, by the way. I use them to marinate, pour it on salads, put it on vegetables, anything you want. But Quitters listeners can save 20% at primalkitchen.com/quitters, or like my cousin did, find Primal Kitchen products at your favorite local grocery store or retailer.
Do it. It's so yummy. I'm curious because we talked to probably the majority of our guests are actors. Like it's probably not a huge majority, but most of them, and people with profiles and platforms and whatever amount of media training. And there are some through lines of like ways that they can deflect or ways that they can avoid or ways that they can, like, you see their eyes kind of glaze over and go into like a packaged answer. And I would love to know from you, like, how are you coached to show up to interviews like this so that we can adequately undo those tactics on other people?
He wants to reverse engineer media training. It can't be done. No.
Yeah.
Once you're made to be a robot, it's too
But
you
late.
don't have that, by the way, Peyton.
As an actor, I think the first thing, like in media training, they start with like what they tell you what your show's about, and they tell you why that show matters to you, and so it's a very interesting thing if you're like, wait, oh, that's what I think. Okay, thank you. And that sort of is the foundation for it, is this thing of like, I'm going to tell you what you think about things, because they go straight from like, this is what we want the world to hear. And then you're just the vessel for them to like tell the world what they want the world to hear, and then it just becomes like, this is what I think, but it's really like, this is what this entire business, this entire industry, like, this is what we think, so it's a lot. For me, like, again, it goes back to my family, not because Julie brought it up, but because it is very much true, is that it was always like, my parents always very much valued what I thought, and were very much always asking, what do you think about this? Like, what do you care about? What do you want to say? Right. And so it never felt like it was being pushed on me to have a certain take or a certain perspective outside of that, like, media training thing. And so I had enough like outside support and influence that I was just hearing one thing. I think a lot of really great people I know that don't have as great a support system outside of the industry, they sit with these in these like media training things, and it's just like that's the only guidance they're being given. That's the only resource they have. When that's all you have, that's what you go with, I've been lucky enough to like have multiple voices, right? Multiple opinions circling me. And so I truly believe, because of the way I've lived my life, is that there should be different opinions, and it's not just like one thing that's the truth. That this is the message of our show. This is why my character is this. This is why you should think this by the end of the movie. You know what I mean? That's not the way it is, And so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, some kind of a roundabout
Oh my
way.
God. It actually, I mean, that's such
but for a lot
I don't think people know that that's happening, because that's
Yeah,
pretty,
but
that's
it's
pretty
absolutely happening.
dangerous.
But it would be, imagine how dangerous it would be. Kids who don't have any media training at all are plopped in front of, and it's not B-roll, it's not in-house, it is not controlled by the studio or something. They come to set and they're talking to kids, and the kids are just going off. And they're sinking a ship for a dude who just drove 2 hours from Simi Valley that morning. And is like, why is this child like mouthing off or being sarcastic or whatever it is that because they're being normal kids and are just like, I don't know. Like, did you think that thing was cool that you guys just filmed? And like, no, that's not cool. I would never do that. And you're like, that's the clip that they're going to run. And so media training can be really valuable. And of course it can create like packaged animals, like you said, if you don't have other points of view coming in. But I'm sure when you understand, like, yeah, I know you might not, Henrietta, you might not have loved doing that episode where you had to wear that awful dress, but let's focus on what you did love. Like,
no, 100%. I by no means think that like media training is a bad thing or that it's the problem at all. I just think it is about having balance.
Because the danger, as you described it, Julie, that I understand is that, sure, certainly there's a danger to the production company. There's a danger to the studio.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure that there's a danger to the consumer, right? There's a danger for the check. To the check.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a danger for the people, but some of the people that are collecting the check, it's like, it's not just the above the line, like producers and directors in the studio. There's so many people that are involved in every project, from PAs in the office to, people like security guards. Be mindful of that. And so if you're a little kid and you don't know how to be mindful, someone's got to tell you how to be mindful.
Yeah. And I also think to a certain extent, it's not a danger to the consumer, but I do think that I've definitely like watched things and loved them. And then you hear that like the person working on it like hated so-and-so, and that completely ruins it for me. You know what I mean? And
that's true.
And like, and you're like, shoot, they were miserable making this thing. Like it's just not fun to watch anymore. Like for example, like Grey's Anatomy, like once you start hearing about like drama going on and like the awful things happening, then like it totally changes it. And obviously there are examples where it's important that these things come to light. Right, but I'm just saying like it does affect the way a consumer views something when they like now have this new perspective on it that sometimes is very important and other times doesn't. Like every little thing doesn't need to be, broadcasted. Right.
Interesting. That's crazy. Honestly, I'm just like,
what are you surprised by? What is surprising you, Chad?
Like, I know, it's funny because I asked the question wanting to know, but I kind of thought I knew the answer, but I didn't know the answer. Like, I didn't know it was like, even the example, Peyton, that you're using, which is to say someone, I guess like a PR person or possibly like a producer is coming to somebody and saying, this is what the movie is. This is why the movie is important. In your own words, like, this is what you think about the importance of this movie. Now go and be a mouthpiece to that. Like, I'll tell you the thing that's jumping to mind for me, which is that like I now know many of the people who make these movies, and they are not adequately
Right.
they are not
But
adequately
that's exactly
constructed
right.
to tell somebody else what's important. Because they don't know what's important. You, Peyton, I'm talking so loud and preaching. I'm sorry. But you, Peyton, probably have such a better constituted center around what's important about your project than I would guess that they do. That's the only thing that I think is an unfortunate irony here.
Yeah,
The
I
ending.
mean, I think sometimes, I don't know that I have a better idea, but I mean, we just all have like different ideas of what it is, you know? And it's why every time I get the question of like, what do you want viewers to take away from this? It's like the worst question on the planet because I can't tell you what to take away from it. I don't want to. I have no authority to. I really, I don't care. I just hope you take something from it, you know, like good, bad, happy, sad, whatever. Like, I think like it's just sort of the construct of preaching to someone what they should be taking from something that, in my opinion, should be up for artistic interpretation is the problem inherently, you know, and it's not about.
So what do you say when you get that question now? Do you say that? Do you say it's not up to me what they take away?
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point in the day, I would say I get to a point where I'm like, you know, I hope people just realize that like it's all about being there for each other, you know, which like, you know, like I'm not saying I'm perfect. And like every time I go in to like tell these people off on like why their question is problematic, like for sure. But I definitely would say like a lot of the time I do say, you know, I don't want to tell anyone what they should take from it. I'll tell you what I took from it and why I wanted to be a part of it because of what I took from it. But I would never want to put my own interpretation of something on someone else and expect them to like have the same reaction to something because my reaction to something is very specific to my life. And like I can't put that on anyone else. So I will say that if I happen to be in a place where I'm not too tired.
Going back to you saying that being committed to school for 1 year and watching the jobs go by, what do you tell yourself honestly in those? I know that anxiety. I know that anxiety all the time. You're like, I didn't even know that. I didn't even hear of that project, and I never even had a chance. How do you stay cool, or what do you tell yourself when you feel that little? It's not jealousy, because that's not fair. You can be very happy for your friends, but fear, wait, the train's passing me by.
I think it's hard. I think it's very like ingrained in me. And I think in anyone that's a creative person at all is it's very like sink or swim. You know, you're either like working for the next thing or you're drowning, you know, and like if you have momentum, you got to keep going because like once you're not on their screen, like they've forgotten about you and there's someone who's better and there's someone who, you know what I mean? It's like, it's very like, you know, there's that mentality that I definitely like have taken. I think I have learned more about myself and the world and, you know, different like areas of academia. I've learned more in the last 8 months than I have in my entire life, you know? And so as much as like being on set is my happy place and it's where I'm comfortable and feel like the most myself, I think there's less growth in being where you're comfortable. Just reminding myself that I'm so fortunate to have found my happy place, but it's important to like go see other places, you know, and maybe this is not where I want to be, or maybe it is where I want to be more, or whatever. But like you're constantly learning more things, you know, about yourself and about life and what you like and what you don't like. And so for me, it's like, it's that reminder that this is all like progress in terms of like me growing as a human being that has sort of been the thing that I tell myself to remember why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that, sure, I wish I was in that movie or I wish I was working with that person or whatever, but I have a lot of time to do that, you know, and the things that I'm doing now will hopefully benefit my ability to take everything I can from those experiences when it becomes right for me.
I think that's really impressive. And I was also thinking there could be a benefit. Like you look at Jodie Foster back in the day. She went to Yale. Everyone was shocked. She was one of the biggest movie stars in the world. And she stopped, full stop, 4 years. But when she came out of Yale, and then I think she went to grad school too for something. No one's seen her in years. But she came out an adult. She was no longer a child actor. And then and I have no idea how hard it was for her to like kick the door back open again, or whether it was swinging open for her. She's wildly talented. She was now an adult actor who was getting a whole different set of roles as well. Does that interest you at all, coming from you radiate intelligence, so you're never going to be put in the dumb box, but you're really pretty and you're young. So, and you came from the Disney world. So maybe diving into academia gives you a chance to come back as an adult.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I like sort of stepped away from it so that like when I come back, it's like this big thing. Like, I don't know that was like, I mean, I know that wasn't my thought process, but I do think that, I don't know if this is like a direct answer to your question, but like, I think the more life experiences you have, the better you can like take on new roles, and I even had like certain problems with my own career in that like I was playing a girl in like middle school. I'd never stepped foot in middle school, and like I love talking about how acting is like living truthfully under given imaginary, like the whole like I talk a big game about that, but like there are lots of things that like I just haven't experienced. And then I'm on screen doing these things, and like, and so I think like the more I'm able to like get out in the real world, talk to more people, learn more things, understand like more ways of living, then I do feel like I have a better ability to take on meatier roles, that go beyond, what I've done so far. So definitely I think like in that way, stepping away from work and like going to kind of like live real life has been, or hopefully will be, beneficial to in the future with work and sort of like grounding it in a greater sense of reality and understanding.
How can we make every interview feel more like this one? Which is to say, I haven't listened to it yet, but like the feeling of it felt good to me.
Peyton, you are amazing. And thank you for coming and doing this. How horrible was it to watch yourself, or how great was it to watch yourself in Prom Pact? We had the screening the other day, and how was it for you?
It's always very painful for me to watch myself. I hate it. I watch it and I'm like, why do I look like that? Why do I sound like that? What am I doing with my, like, it's just like, it's very bad. Yeah. I hate it so much. However, I do think it is important to like growing as an actor. Like I see like tendencies in myself that I know I need to like shut down. So like, I think it's important for growth. So in that sense, it was good, but like, I hate watching myself. However, like I loved seeing all the stuff that I wasn't in. There's not like a whole lot of it, but like the stuff that I wasn't in was fun for me to watch because I wasn't there. Or I was there, but I wasn't in the scene. So it's easy for me to like be more objective when like I'm not staring at myself. I mean, I think it's a really fun movie. Genuinely, I feel like there's so much like heart in it.
I'm a baby about watching myself.
No, yeah, I hate it. I every time I watch myself, I'm like, why would anyone ever put me in anything? Like, I need to go, never speak again. I need to go sit. I need to go
not
sit
make
in a
that
box.
face. I need to never use that voice. Yes,
Yeah,
I really get it. Well, even beautiful, talented kids who've been acting since they were really young have built-in insecurities and challenges to overcome. And Peyton is a wonderfully intelligent person. And if she can do it, we can all do it. So thank you.
Did she
Peyton.
quit something? She quit listening to media training. No, she didn't. That's force-fed.
We failed. We can talk. We failed. We have to let her go.
Yeah, we failed, but that's fine.
We failed. We're going to let you go.
Thank you, Peyton. And congratulations.
Congratulations. I'm so happy that you're doing college. Thank you, Peyton.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.